a win. We said it all week. It's about coming here, us against the world mentality. We're not leaving here without a win. Whatever it takes for 60 minutes, give it everything you've got. Win on 3. 1, 2, 3, win.
Hey, fellas, right here. Hey, this is number 5. Hey, and let's make it our best one. Hey, it's time. You beat your man on every play and believe that we the best. Because we are. Hey, it's time, fellas. Let's quit the and let's put our foot in every play.
Come on.
Hey,
Come on.
and let's bring that. Come on. Hey, be great on 3. 1, 2, 3. Be great.
Welcome to Vikings Postgame alongside Ron Johnson. I'm Hobie Artigue as the Vikings get a big win in New Jersey, a much-needed win here in Week 5 over the Giants, 28-10 the final. And Ron, what a difference a week makes, going from frustration to elation, getting your first win on the road.
Yeah, I mean, Everson Griffin should give us the pregame speech for this show because, man, I'm MF ready to go. Like, I mean, Everson, but that's the difference of what a week makes. I mean, everybody was down on the Vikings. Now everybody's high up on the Vikings. We just did Fan Line on K-Fan, and total different now. It's all about what's next. How far can this team go? And then are they a wild card team? That's what everybody wants to know now.
And it's only Week 5 right now. But before we get too in-depth in this game, let's show you how the Vikings got there. Here are highlights with Paul Allen.
And Stefanski wants more. They hustle to the line of scrimmage. Handoff Madison. Room 35-30 near side. Make that far side to the 25 and the rookie Alexander Madison. Cousins out of the shotgun. Back to pass. Pats it for Thielen to the end zone. Touchdown! Harrison Smith cheats to the line. Handoff. Safety! It's a safety by the hitman! Jones takes the snap. Vikings blitz again. Oh, Daniel Jones is sacked back at the 13-yard line. 18-7 Vikings. Jones, play action, boots out to the right, pumps, and he's sacked! Danielle Hunter crushes him at the 17-yard line. Offset eye left behind Cousins, working again under center. Handoff goes to Dalvin, gets some good blocking, 45-40. Angles to the right to the 30, down to the 25-20. Gets the boundary to the 10, Dalvin. Cook, 182 yards from scrimmage. Cousins, back to pass, fires to the end zone, and it's caught by Thielen. Yes! Touchdown, Adam Thielen. Jones shotgun, 3 receivers left, takes the snap. Big rush, Jones hit and sacked back at the 15-yard line. They are 8 of 14 on 3rd down. Out of the shotgun, Jones is hit and sacked on 3rd down. It's Everson Griffin. Sole alone to the right, 2 receivers left on 3rd and 7. Cousins back to pass, facing a blitz. Flag on the play. It's Diggs on a slant. Oh, he spins away from 2 Giants at the 35. Near side, outside the numbers 40-45. Stephon Diggs. 4th and 2. Daniel Jones, the Duke rookie, takes the snap. Back to pass, throws right, intercepted by Anthony Barr at the 27-yard line. Interception for 5-5, his first.
And as you can see from those highlights, just a plethora of success for the Purple, both on offense and on defense. Let's talk about this offense, though. Kirk Cousins throwing for 300-plus yards for the first time this season. Dalvin Cook, he gets back on track, rushing for 100 yards. Look at the total yards, though. 490. The Vikings had 351 in the first half alone. Just a great day as a whole for the offense.
Yeah, and again, we talked about this on the pregame show. Quick passes. That's what I like to see today. You saw Dalvin Cook. You saw B.C. Johnson catch one in the slot. You saw Diggs catch one underneath. And you saw Thielen. So that's what this offense needed. They needed some quick game stuff to get going. And once it got going, the run game was open, and then you were able to go deep every once in a while.
As for the defense, what a shutdown performance, sacking Daniel Jones 4 times after he was sacked against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by 5 earlier in this season. 0 sacks last week. The Vikings able to get to him. But what a performance by Danielle Hunter, Anthony Barr, Harrison Smith, you name it, the big names came out to play today.
Yeah, and Soldier and Rimmers, I mean, those tackles were actually doing a lot today. That's tough to guard these 2 guys man-to-man because when Mike Zimmer put 2 guys in the A-gap, numbers were on the Vikings side. The Giants had to man block. You can't man block either, and that's what happened. 3 sacks between the 2 of them. The other thing is Anthony Barr flashed the entire game.
Yes,
I said that. I said Anthony Barr has to come out like they did in the second half of the Packers game, and Zimmer from the start put guys in A-gap. So going forward, I hope he does that every single game to start. Who cares about hiding and waiting? The first 3rd down, let's go after the guy.
Well, that double A-gap blitz, that's a signature of Mike Zimmer, and the head coach very pleased in the locker room after this big win over the Giants.
Session was outstanding offensively. In the first half, it was 290 yards or something. to 92. Okay, we had Kirk. You were 22 of 27 with a 138 quarterback rating. I've got a game ball here for some of the best owners in the NFL, the best owner in the NFL, who's from New York, right?
New Jersey.
New Jersey. New Jersey. So, congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. And I love you guys as a family. Thank God. God bless you all. On to back home. 1, 2, 3. Go Vikes!
What an exciting locker room to be in, getting your first win on the road. Ron, after a week of frustration, as many of the Vikings players put it, how good must it feel in that locker room whenever you actually get a win to start moving on and put the previous 4 weeks behind you?
Great, because, I mean, we know you forget about what happened the last 4 games. It's only about what happened today, and then, honestly, tomorrow, it's time to move on to the Eagles.
Absolutely.
So it's a great plane ride. It's going to be a fun time tonight for those guys. There's no stress. Everybody's going to show up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and ready to go. And so, boom, Eagles, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure Zimmer's on the plane right now doing Eagle stuff.
All right, here's, of course, more from head coach Mike Zimmer. Here's his post-game press conference.
All right, good team win today. I thought we played hard in all 3 phases. You know, it was nice to see the passing game get going with Kirk 22 out of 27. I thought, you know, the time of possession, we ran the ball well. I thought we were good on 3rd downs today. And then defensively, I thought we played pretty well most of the day. So, good team win.
What did you like best about Kirk's performance today?
You know, I thought he got out of the pocket. He looked down the field for the shots, and when they weren't there, he checked them down. You know, I thought our receivers made some good catches with Diggs and Thielen. Tight ends did some nice things as well. But I think just overall the mix of the play actions and the dropbacks were good.
Mike, Kirk seemed to play very well with the clean pocket. It seemed like he was more on.
And we talked today about having, or this week about having a firm pocket. You know, that's important in the passing game as well. You know, it's not just, you know, throwing and catching. It's about being in the right place in protection. You know, the backs being in there, and so, you know, I thought that part was good today.
Can you talk about how solid Dalvin Cook's been this season, especially coming off of a big injury, and how much he's meant so far?
Yeah, Dalvin's a great player, great acceleration. You know, there's times when they had him and he was able to accelerate to it. He's a hard physical runner. You know, usually he hardly ever fumbles, and so that was a little surprising on the 2-yard line there. But Dalvin's a great player.
Like the amount of time you guys were on the field, your defense was on the field on the 3rd quarter. It was over 12 minutes.
Yeah, long drives, penalties
and everything, but they really seemed to stiffen their inside.
Yeah, you know, these guys are fighters, and they'll continue to fight. You know, we had some adversity, and I felt like we fought through that adversity, which is the sign of a good bunch of guys.
How aggressive was the game plan defensively? It seemed like you guys were really.
It was aggressive. Aggressive. We probably need to be that way a little more.
Was that because of the rookie quarterback, or was that just because you guys were?
I felt good about some of the pressures that we had this week. You know, quite honestly, we had another pressure drawn up for one other thing, and they really didn't do it today. So, but I wish they would have, because I wanted to see if it worked. But I thought we rushed well with our front guys, and you know, other than a couple of penalties. You know, in the first long ball, we covered decently today. You know, we keep talking about getting tighter in the coverage and keep emphasizing it so that we can do better.
How much pressure when Dalvin is catching the ball like that does that put on the defense when he has the ability to be a 100-yard receiver per game in addition to runner?
Well, anytime he's in space, he's got a chance to be really good. And, you know, the more that we can be good on screens, the better that helps. And there was a couple checkdowns to him today that he made some guys miss.
What did you see on the challenge?
I saw Trey looking back for the ball like this, and the guy reaching both hands around his shoulders and going into him. And this they're probably never going to overturn them unless it's in the NFC Championship game. But, you know, the thing that bothers me is that's a 50-yard penalty. You know, it's not like it's a 5 yards and let's get a first down. It's a long penalty. So they in my opinion, humble opinion, they need to clean all this stuff up.
You hit on the day that Mike Hughes had coming in for Xavier outside.
Yeah, I thought Mike played very well today. Mike's a good football player. You know, I know you guys were asking me what would change, and I knew nothing would because he's a good competitor. He got his hands on some balls today. Almost had one on our sideline. Almost had another one. He's got great quickness and acceleration. He's a good competitor.
What about Kirk Cousins' day today? He made some really nice throws, and he was under pressure a lot, and he showed some poise out there. Can you just talk about his day today?
Yeah, I thought he played really well. You know, 138 quarterback rating, I think is what it was, and he had some really nice throws, got the ball out, made good decisions. You know, so that's how we need him to play.
The opening drive, you mixed a bunch of personnel groupings, got 4 different receivers catching something, and I think 4 guys had a carry. Like, I mean, just
spreading it around. We had a 98-yard drive in the game. You know, that was huge. But yeah, there was a lot of good things offensively today.
How about just getting off to a quick start on the road? I mean, I know that was key.
Yeah, and you know, they had scored with the first possession in all 4 ball games, so it was big for us defensively not to allow them to score. And we stopped them. I think. Well, we got a penalty on the first 3rd down again. So, but offensively, we did a nice job moving the ball and going down and getting some points.
A lot of positive things for Mike Zimmer to discuss today, but as you heard in that press conference, the word penalty was probably used more than any other in that press conference, and for good reason. The Vikings had 12 overall for 112 total yards, and the ones on defense, they could come in some costly situations further down the road.
Yeah, and those sustained drives, you can't allow penalties to move drives along, and that's 5 first downs the Giants got off of penalties by the Vikings. And so if it's within play, I think a coach can deal with that, but procedural ones, I think, are really offsides and all that stuff. That's really
controllable
annoying.
ones.
Correct. But if you're in play, I think, because like you said, the challenge of Trey Waynes, the Xavier Rhodes one was questionable as well, that pass interference. So those.
He had his hands up.
Yeah, those you can kind of deal with, but the procedural before the snap, those you have to eliminate.
Let's look at this offense, though. Kirk Cousins throwing for 300-plus yards for the first time this season, and his map was just all over the place. He was getting the ball everywhere. Down the field, we saw him make some of those throws. I know a lot of fans were harping on that last week. He completed some deep balls today. But I think what really got him going was just some of the underneath stuff that we saw early on. He started the game 9 for 10, and that kind of set the stage for what we saw today.
Yeah, I mean, he was almost perfect. And so if you look at the chart, he is looking to his right, looking to his left. He even rolled left. And for a right-handed quarterback, that's a tough throw, and he completed to Thielen down the field. But also within that chart, it was some short runs that receivers turned into longer runs, which was Dalvin Cook, BC, and Stephon Diggs as well, breaking a tackle and making an explosive play. So when you have guys that can make explosive plays with their feet, it's get the ball out of your hands quick so they have time to look the guy in his eye, like Dalvin Cook did down in the red zone, and almost score.
And here's the Vikings quarterback on his big day, throwing the ball against the Giants.
You know, I thought it was a great win to get on the road and play well from the jump. I thought it was a very balanced attack today offensively through the pass game and the run game, even the screen game and some other variety to the offense. And I thought Dalvin Cook again showed why he's such a special player. I thought explosive plays were a key part of our success today, both in the run game and the pass game. And Coach Zimmer had made that a point of emphasis going into the game. I think. The 99-yard drive was very important throughout the early part of the game to be able to not only flip the field but get points and keep that momentum going. And, I still feel like we left some out there with the red zone where we had to kick field goals and then the fumble. So that I felt like we could have had an even better day offensively if we had been able to come away with touchdowns instead of field goals. And then obviously the turnover hurt us as well. But great to get a win, get on the plane, go home, enjoy it, and then get back to work and get ready for our next one next week at home.
How do you feel kind of bouncing back, though, after the tough performance at Chicago? And you had one of your best passer ratings that you've had in 2 seasons with the Vikings, 138.
Again, just running the plays that are called and executing them. And, Today we did a great job. There were still plays we left out there. There's still moments you point to that you say it wasn't good enough. But, felt great to come on the road, win a game, and, have production in a lot of different ways offensively. And, you build on it from there.
Kirk, it looked like in the passing game there was more considered that for bootlegs, design rollouts for you. Do you feel like that helped get things going for you?
I do. I think it was key that we had that ability to move the pocket a little bit. I think their pass rush is pretty good. I think they showed that at times today. There were a couple I probably didn't help anything by, running around and taking too long. But they were coming after us in the pocket. And so the ability to get out of the pocket, I think, helped us. And they usually were explosive plays. Those crossers to Stephon and Adam. CJ caught one, was an explosive play. But we did try to get the edge as best we could.
Kirk, Adam talked about some of those throws, I think particularly the ones on the touchdowns that you basically threw it and almost caught it for them with the way you put it there. What does it take to have, I guess, the trust in yourself and the trust in your guys to fit into tight windows like you did on a couple of those?
I think reps. You spend time practicing year-round, and whether it was a third down to Adam on the sideline or that touchdown pass, you're just trying to get a feel in practice and get a feel in April, May, June, so that you can throw with anticipation and conviction. When the moment counts, and today we were able to hit a few of those.
Maybe I'm surprised, Dalvin Cook. I mean, it's not only breaking tackles, it's not only yards after catch. It's the acceleration when someone's chasing him down too that goes to another level.
I remember watching Percy Harvin when I was with the Redskins my rookie year, and saying among Adrian Peterson as well, saying among world-class athletes, they just stand out. Among world-class athletes, there's a different gear. Dalvin has shown that. That running simple outside zone, catching a screen, catching a ball over the ball in a quick game, a 3-yard catch, he turns in, takes it down to the front pylon. There's just something there, an extra gear, unique movement skills that he's shown time and again are very special.
As you saw, Kirk Cousins' passer rating 138, but that's not his highest this season. That, of course, was against the Atlanta Falcons, where he only threw the ball 10 times.
Put an asterisk by that one.
But you look at Kirk Cousins today, Ron, and I think his comfort level goes far beyond the numbers.
Yeah, again, the quick game. That gets him lathered up, gets him comfortable. He can get some balls out of his hands quick. He's not having to read the defense too much. And the motion. I mean, if you notice, you saw Kyle Rudolph motion. You saw Irv Smith motion. You saw B.C. Johnson motion. What that does is you can see man coverage, and then you know right away who you're going to. And I think that was the key.
And the play-action game helped him out, too.
Yeah, the run game helps out the play action.
Sure.
The fact that Dalvin Cook was running the way he was running, which Dalvin can do that at any point, any given day. The play action's there. But again, the play action doesn't work if you don't have the quick game, because then your DBs are not playing up. Once you start going quick, you notice those DBs start creeping up, then you know, okay, we can get this play action going.
It always helps a quarterback when you have a running back who rushes for 100 yards, catches for another 80. Dalvin Cook, the first Vikings running back to ever do so in a game. And Ron, he was just fantastic whenever you put the ball in his hands.
Yeah, I mean, on Vikings Live, we had the guy right here, Robert Smith. And I would have thought Robert Smith would have easily done that, because he was a great receiving running back. Roger Craig was here as well. Jet McKinnon. So you look at those guys.
And look at his speed. You mentioned some guys right there. They were fast. But look, Dalvin Cook, 21.1 miles per hour today. That's the 4th fastest speed recorded this week.
And McCaffrey was like 84 yards today, so he definitely got the top end. Dalvin didn't have a chance to really get going, because he still had guys he was trying to make miss. So, yeah, that guy, I could see Dalvin hitting 23 miles an hour if he really has an open field.
And also, Dalvin Cook really solid in the second half. 85 of his 130-plus rushing the ball came in the second half.
Yeah, and again, in the first half, it was all Thielen. You know, I think he had like 121 in the first half.
He did.
And then you turn around, and now it's Dalvin Cook in the second half. Why? Because now they weren't loading the box anymore. They're like, man, crap. Okay, Thielen goes on the radio show, the podcast, and Kirk Cousins throwing him the ball. So then they had to back up. Pat Shurmur is not a dumb guy, so I know he was looking at all those cues. Is this going to be a run-first team? Oh, wait, no. Here they come out. Thielen is hot. All right, let's back up a little bit. Let's play a little bit more quarters coverage. You saw the safeties in the box take off full speed to go bracket Diggs and Thielen, and that's why Dalvin Cook was able to do what he did.
All right, here's number 33 on his big day, both running and catching the football.
We started fast. We stayed on schedule. We did everything that Coach Zim came in on Monday and told us we had to do. And I think with us just coming out here and having a great intensity and playing faster than them and jumping on them fast, that kind of paid off at the end.
Not a lot of mistakes either. You guys played pretty mistake-free.
Yeah, we had some penalties in there that we can clean up, and that was self-inflicted, that we can clean up ourselves. But overall, I think we played a pretty good, clean game, and it helped us.
Dalvin Adams showed leadership, though, this week, saying to Kirk, this is what I really want. He really put his money where his mouth is. How important is it to have a leader like that say, listen, let's also have the passing game in there, and for it to work?
Just one of our, like we said, one of our leaders stepping up and speaking their mind. And I think, we're men at the end of the day in the locker room, and everybody's voicing their opinion. And we got guys that want the ball, and we got playmakers. So that's what comes with the territory. But end of the day, our locker room is so tight, and we as a group, as players, we stick together and fought through this thing and got a huge win on the road.
When you're contributing like that in the passing game, are there enough touches to go around between you, Thielen, Gibbs, and yourself when in the passing game?
It definitely is, and I think it opened up, more for those guys because they got to play me honest, and they can't just leave me down there because, I pride myself on making the first guy miss. So they can't just play me with a linebacker. They got to, cheat a safety in the box or do something like that. And I think, you're seeing Diz get open and you're seeing Adam get open and make some big plays. So it's definitely enough balls to go around for all those guys. We just got to get it to those guys.
All right, Ron, in your opinion, the only thing not working for the offense today were the dance moves in the end zone after the touchdown.
Yeah, I wasn't really a fan of I don't know that. It just didn't look right. I don't know who messed it up.
At least the passing game was working too today. Adam Thielen, monstrous day, 130 receiving yards. Only 9 of them came in the second half, and that's whenever he caught his second touchdown. By the way, that's only the second game of his career with 2 receiving touchdowns. Thielen had a good day. Stephon Diggs, maybe not the numbers that jump out at you, but he was a vital part to getting Kirk Cousins in that rhythm early on in this game.
Yeah, he caught some short passes early on, and then you kind of saw his usage go down. Honestly, I think I've noticed the safety. Again, he kept going over to Stephon Diggs' side when they were in quarters. He was shading in cover 2 to Diggs' side. He was not worried about the middle of the field. Why? Because Rudy and the tight ends weren't getting up the seam, so there wasn't a ton of 4 verticals to kind of force the safeties to play in the middle. They were more getting outside to bracket those outside receivers, and that's why Thielen came wide open when he ran the over route, just because they were getting so much depth. Their thought was, we're not going to let you get behind us like you did on the Packers, and I think that was their thought all day.
And here's more from that receiving dynamic duo after today's big win.
Ed, was that about as balanced as you can remember the last couple of years? Because you guys, it seemed like you didn't know what was coming and they didn't know what was coming.
Yeah, for sure, and I think that's important to help us win games. I think that's something the coaches have preached since OTAs, training camp, things like that, and we know that's what it's going to take to win big games in this league.
How did it feel coming off the last week to this week, the comparison and contrast?
Yeah, it's tough to after tough losses in this league, but I said it last week after the game. I said we're going to find out what kind of team we have in practice and in this game. We'll see how guys react to a tough loss. So pretty excited, pretty proud of the guys in this locker room and the way that they responded, the way that Kirk responded to just going out there and playing a really good football game. So, again, that just shows a lot about this team.
So how did you feel out there today? Obviously, getting out there, participating in the game, first of all, when Zimmer was like, we'll see, just to be able to get out there, first of all.
It was definitely exciting. I love the game. I love out there playing the game that I love, and getting the opportunity is always huge, so I was excited as usual. I was looking forward to offense going out there and performing at a high level, and that's exactly what they did.
And how do you feel about your contribution in the passing game when obviously Thielen gets off today for 100+ receiving yards, Dalvin Cook also gets off in his combo yards, and then you're in there as well with 3 receptions?
I mean, we got a lot of horses in the stable, and a lot of guys can have success. So as far as doing my part is going to be huge, and doing whatever they ask me to do at this point. And as far as team success and driving that, because Dalvin can break it at any given time. So just don't want to be out there and caught lacking when he's trying to break it long.
Well, the Vikings with a huge win, putting up some huge numbers against the Giants today. And for more Between the Lines, let's toss it back to MetLife Stadium, where Paul Allen and Mike Wobschall are standing by.
What's up? Welcome back to MetLife Stadium. It's Wobby, voice of the Vikings, Paul Allen. This is the Between the Lines post-game report presented by Gatorade, and it follows a Vikings victory, the 3rd of the season, 28-10.
And a Bears loss.
Yeah, and the Bears lost too. 28-10. The Vikings win. They're 3-2. A game in which all three phases played well, Paul. Complementary football at its best. Where do you want to begin?
Well, it was a very efficient game. You come into the game wondering, will the Vikings move the ball by land or by air? And they did both. And Dalvin Cook had his best game as a National Football League player without a touchdown. But into the game, the Giants gave up 8.8 yards per pass play. And that was second worst in the NFL. And right out of the gate, the quarterback, who had a fantastic day, was just zinging it all over the place. Thielen had a couple of TDs. Diggs got involved late, couple of sweet spin moves. And Cook is the leading receiver for this team. So offensively, they did it the way they were supposed to do it. Defensively, with those sacks and that safety, that was good. Britton Colquitt punted one time, and it was perfect. Bailey was perfect. Fantastic day.
On the road, outdoor game, after a tumultuous week for the offense, Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins came out here and, like you said, threw the ball all over the place, especially early. Only 5 incompletions, 300 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks, a passer rating of 138.5.
Yeah,
that's how we want our guy to play.
No doubt. And, there will be negatives who will say, yeah, but the Giants lack pass rush, which is true.
Yeah.
And the Giants are probably a non-playoff team. I would agree with that. But it's the next game on the schedule, man. So, you gotta take what is given to you, which we did not do at Lambeau Field, an absolutely winnable game against a team that I am convinced the Vikings are better than the Green Bay Packers. They did it today. We have the Eagles next. So, without looking at how their game against the Jets went with injuries or whatever, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Super Bowl cred, Carson Wentz. Yeah, that's going to be a terrific game. So let's just take it game by game with the quarterback and everybody else and see what happens.
Good job by Dan Bailey making all of his kicks. Colquitt played well holding and punting. And look, good vibes coming back home now. It's going to be a home game at US Bank Stadium against the Eagles. Everyone can get up for that game, especially after a win, especially after the quarterback plays well.
Yeah.
And this Vikings defense right now is playing outstandingly well. Sort of got lost in the shuffle last week because all the focus was on the offense.
I agree.
The Vikings defense is playing really well right now. Daniil Hunter, 2 sacks. Anthony Barr had a safety and a pick. I think Mike Hughes is playing great.
Yeah.
The Vikings defense is playing great.
If Fadi Odenigbo had his first National Football League sack, well done. Not inactive, but he wasn't playing a ton early in the year. Hercules Mataafa is inactive, so Odenigbo's playing inside and outside. And he also had a tackle for loss. So complimentary football, ultimate team game, 11 on 11. Quarterback played well, so everybody can relax if only for a week. Go Twins, go Wild, Sky Yuma, and let's beat the Eagles.
And Skol Vikings, 28-10. Minnesota Vikings win. They are 3-2. Up next, the Philadelphia Eagles, US Bank Stadium, Sunday at noon. And that's going to do it for the Between the Lines postgame report. It's presented by Gatorade, and it ends the way we love it to end.
Victory high
With
five.
a victory high
That's
five.
Right.
We got
Blow
one.
the cobwebs off after Soldier Field.
That's right.
Bye.
Ron, one day I hope we have a bond like that.
Not that, no. Not the lock. What's the lock, the finger lock for? What are they doing? It was supposed to be a high five and the PA went for the lock. Oh, whoa.
Let's talk about this defense because they were on lockdown today against the Giants. Daniil Hunter, just a huge game. Anthony Barr, another huge game. And those two guys are pretty much the bookends, though it was just a great game overall for that side of the ball.
Yeah, again, Mike Zimmer dialed up the perfect defense when it comes to putting pressure on the quarterback. Why? Because when you put that many guys inside the center, you can see the center every once in a while make the call for Daniel Jones, and maybe the rookie's not ready to make some of those calls, but he changed the call to a man-turn protection, meaning your front or back side where we have to let one of these guys come free. And if you notice, every single time it was either Eric Kendricks coming around one side, Daniil Hunter on the other side, or Everson Griffin, because they were manning up one of those sides. And so Daniel Jones is going to have to learn when that happens, when they make that man call, he has to get rid of the ball. But the defense was spot on every single time.
Stretch to say that this was one of, if not the best performance from Anthony Barr?
One of, yeah, for sure. I mean, because he checked the box in every single category.
It was always in the backfield.
Pass deflected, tackle for a loss, interception. I mean, he was all over the field flashing the safety. I mean, he forced the issue on the run blitz, getting skinny, getting in there, and forcing the running back to bounce it, which you're never supposed to bounce the ball when you get handed the ball in the end zone. That was just a poor decision by the running back. You got to put your head down and just say, I'm going to try to get back to the line of scrimmage at the worst. And so Anthony Barr flashed the entire game.
And here's more from those stars in the locker room after that big, dominating performance.
You know, we came out and played ball. You know, offense started fast. We played complementary football. Special teams had some good returns. Yeah, we just came out firing, and I think we just got to start fast each and every game. You know, I think that's the key to success.
How much were you guys just feeding off the fact that the offense was going Kirk Cousins, obviously over 300 yards for the first time this season. Thielen had a monster game. Dalvin Cook, obviously, on the combo yards. How much does that also infuse you guys?
Man, it brings life to us. It makes us want to go out there and dominate even more and get the ball back to them so they can score points. You know, our whole purpose is to stop the run and rush the passer. And the more we give the offense chances to go score points, the more chances we get to go rush the passer and put them in those situations. So the offense did a great job. Kirk, Dalvin, Diggs, Thielen, everybody. You know, it takes a whole crew to win a game, just not a few players.
D-line did a great job. You know, the DBs got their hands on a couple balls, and we give all the credit to those guys because, you know, they put the pressure on them and make the quarterbacks make bad decisions. And, you know, he did that a few times today, and we just couldn't come up with it. But overall, it was a great collective effort, and, you know, we had a lot of fun out there.
We kind of know what we're doing and how we want to do it in every game. You know, it's just about executing and playing hard and getting to the football and getting off on third downs. And, you know, we had a lot of penalties today. You know, we got to clean that up. But other than that, we had a good day.
Anthony, you had the penalties, but then you yourself turn around and right in the mouth with that safety. How important, was to do that right after a penalty, especially so?
Yeah, I think that was right after the fumble, right? Dalvin's fumble, you know, so it was important to get the ball back. You know, anytime they're backed up like that, you know, our goal is no first downs. At the very least, make them punt backed up, and obviously a safety is a bonus, so we'll take that.
Now, Anthony Barr had some great plays in the backfield, but also Danielle Hunter did too. 2 sacks on the day on Daniel Jones, bringing him to 5 total on the year. And I think Daniel Jones is going to think twice about trying to pump fake a defensive end.
Yeah, Danielle's just too big, too fast, and too smart. But his ability to learn from Everson Griffin, I think, has been very key that we keep forgetting is that Everson has helped him along the way, the spin moves, the double moves, setting a guy up the entire game, and that's what those two do. They continue to work on different moves, and then eventually they know it's going to work. Spin move by Everson Griffin, and then the up and under move by, or the bull rush move by Danielle Hunter, realizing I've given this guy so many moves, he's on his heels now. Boom, now I'm going to just run him over and try to get to the quarterback, and so it's working.
All right, let's go back to MetLife Stadium now, where Ben Lieber is standing by with his 3 takeaways.
Hey everyone, Ben Lieber here from MetLife Stadium as a 28-10 victory for your Minnesota Vikings. Yay! All right, here's my 3 takeaways from this game. I got to say, I know that they're great performances on offense, but I'm going to give it out to Kevin Stefanski, the offensive coordinator. You know, he was tasked this week of calming everybody down offensively, putting a game plan together that worked against this Giants defense that was getting some confidence built up. I loved his boot game. The boot game was working. Everybody was open. All the decisions by Kirk were quick and decisive. It didn't look like offensively in the passing game they really had to work for too much. And I did love how he complemented some of those boots out to the right with a boot out to the left with success. So he was mixing things up. And of course, getting Dalvin loose, the offensive line playing well. But I think the key catalyst was Stefanski himself. Then defensively, Anthony Barr, phenomenal. He's been playing great all season long, very physical when he was asked to blitz downhill. Early on in the game was making plays in the A and B gaps as well. And then I got to tell you what, you need to watch that interception that he had to close out the game. Again, it was pure athleticism. He played the defense perfectly, felt the receiver going to break away from his leverage, and then used his long body to extend out and catch the ball with his hands. The guy's a freak, and he showed it again today. And lastly, I love how our defensive ends are playing. Very disciplined. Now, I get it. There are times where Everson on third down, he's good for at least 1 a game. I understand that. But this is probably the most disciplined I've seen all of our defensive ends against the run. They're not running up the field and creating seams like that has been in the past. They're very patient. They're reacting to what's in front of them. They're not letting a lot of things outside of their body. And then when they're asked to rush the passer, they guys are just technically sound and getting after the quarterback. So there it is, a great victory, a needed victory for Minnesota Vikings, 28-10. We'll see you guys next week.
All right, Ben, thank you very much. Ron, time now for our final thoughts. A lot of good to take away from this game for the Vikings. Question is it sustainable moving into the final 3 quarters of the season?
Yeah, and again, let's just go one game at a time. So Eagles, yes. The reason being is because they have the same type of rush that we saw for the Bears. I think you win that Bears game if you get some of the short game stuff you saw today going in the Bears game. So the Eagles step it up. Also, the Eagles have a false sense of bravado right now because they beat a terrible Jets team 31-6. And so I hope they come in super confident and then the Vikings hit them in the mouth because Carson Wentz has not really faced a true Vikings defense to where they're at all hitting on all cylinders. And so that should be a fun one for them. And then the RPO. Anthony Barr is the key to the RPO as far as he's the linebacker they're going to read. So I want to see that cat and mouse chess game with him, Zimmer, Carson Wentz, and their offensive coordinator because that's going to be a fun one to watch.
Ron alluded to it. The next opponent on the schedule, another team from the NFC East as the Vikings get set to host the Philadelphia Eagles next Sunday at US Bank Stadium at noon. Should be a fun one.
Hopefully the Philadelphia fans don't go crazy when they get here.
Hopefully not. For Ron Johnson, I'm Hobie Artigue. Thank you very much for joining us here on the Vikings Postgame Show. We'll see you next time.